And if I told you that there is evidence that reincarnation is real, that's right. There are cases so inexplicable, so absurdly precise, that even the most skeptical try to find flimsy excuses to deny the truth. But what you are about to see defies any known logic. They don't want you to know this. Scientists, skeptics, those who insist that only what can be measured in a laboratory exists, they ignore real accounts of people who remember past lives with such specific details that they challenge any rational explanation. And the case of Ryan Hammons is one of the most impressive of all. From a very young age, he began describing memories of a life that was not his own, places, people, events he could never have known, until a shocking discovery proved that everything was real. What you are about to see may forever change your view of life and death. And here's a warning. Watch until the end, because I have prepared something special for you, a gift that will leave you even more intrigued by this mystery. Now answer me this. Do you believe in reincarnation, or do you think this is all just a big nonsense? Leave your comment here, because I really want to know your opinion. Now get ready, because what you are about to discover may shake everything you have believed in until today. Who is Ryan Hammons, the boy who remembered a past life? Imagine that your child, still very young, starts telling detailed stories about a life he never lived, places he never visited, people he never met, and even scarier, he begins to describe his own death. That's exactly what happened with Ryan Hammons, a boy from the state of Oklahoma in the United States. Since the age of 4, Ryan began having intense nightmares and saying frightening things to his mother. "I died, but I didn't want to die." He talked about unknown settings, described clothing from the 1930s, and mentioned details of a life that simply could not be his. His parents, incredulous, started investigating their son's stories and were shocked by the coincidences. Until something astonishing happened. Ryan pointed to an old photo from a Hollywood film and said without hesitation, "That's me." The photo was of a man who worked in the film industry in the 1930s and 1940s. And when this man's identity was finally discovered, the details Ryan had described were eerily accurate. Get ready, because this story gets even more unbelievable. Other children who also remember past lives. Ryan Hammons' case is not the only one. On the contrary, there are hundreds of similar reports around the world. Children who, from a very young age, talk about past lives with details they simply could not know. One of the most respected researchers on this phenomenon was psychiatrist Ian Stevenson, who dedicated his life to studying children who claimed to remember previous lives. He documented more than 3,000 cases and found striking patterns. Here are some of the most impactful accounts. The boy who remembered his own death. A child in Thailand began telling his parents that he had died from a gunshot to the head. He mentioned the name of the city where he had lived before and even identified his previous family. The most shocking part, the child was born with a birthmark exactly where the man he claimed to be was shot. James Leininger, the World War II pilot. In the United States, a boy named James Leininger began talking about airplanes, battles, and details of World War II at just 2 years old. He mentioned aircraft names, described landings, and even recalled the name of a fellow pilot. After an investigation, his parents discovered that everything he said was true. The Indian boy who solved his own murder. In India, a boy began saying that he had been murdered in his past life. He provided details about the city where it happened, described the killer, and even revealed where the body was buried. When investigators went to the location, they found the remains exactly as he had described. What do these children have in common? Researchers have discovered that most of these children start remembering their past lives between the ages of 2 and 5. Report precise details that are later confirmed as true. Often have birthmarks linked to fatal wounds from their past life. Stop talking about their past lives as they grow older, as if the memories fade over time. These cases challenge any logical explanation. Coincidence? Genetic memory? Or is there really evidence that reincarnation is real? And you, what do you think? Are these cases proof that we return to life again? Leave your opinion in the comments. Can science explain reincarnation? Reincarnation is a topic surrounded by mystery, but has science found a logical explanation for these cases? Neuroscientists and psychologists have been trying to unravel this phenomenon for decades, studying reports of children who remember past lives with astonishing details. What do the experts say? False memory or confabulation? Some psychologists believe that these memories may be the result of a phenomenon called confabulation, where the brain fills in gaps with information acquired unconsciously. The child may have heard something in a movie, an adult conversation, or even created narratives based on everyday experiences. The subconscious mind and the collective unconscious. Renowned psychiatrist Carl Jung theorized about the collective unconscious, a reservoir of memories and experiences shared by all of humanity. Could these children be accessing information from a greater consciousness? Genetic memory, our ancestors within us. Some scientists suggest that certain memories may be genetically inherited. Studies show that traumas and experiences can be passed down from generation to generation through epigenetics. But would this explain children remembering details about people with whom they have no genetic connection? Tests conducted on children who remember past lives. Many researchers have tried to determine whether these memories are merely illusions or if there is something more. Ian Stevenson's method. Psychiatrist Ian Stevenson studied more than 3,000 cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. He conducted rigorous tests. Children were taken to cities they had never visited and surprisingly recognized places and people. In some cases, they identified relatives from their supposed past life without ever having seen photos before. Many of these children had birthmarks corresponding to fatal wounds from their previous lives. The photograph case. In another experiment, children who claimed to be reincarnated were tested with photographs. They were presented with images of various people from the time they supposedly lived and correctly identified who they had been before. These experiments remain a mystery to science. Coincidence? Psychological suggestion? Or is there truly something beyond what we can comprehend? What do you think? Could reincarnation have a rational explanation, or are we facing one of humanity's greatest mysteries? Leave your opinion in the comments and share this video with someone who needs to hear these stories. What does spirituality say about this? The idea that the soul can return to this world after death is not new. Many religions and spiritual traditions maintain that reincarnation is real and part of the soul's evolutionary cycle. But how do these beliefs explain cases like Ryan Hammons and so many other children who remember past lives? Religions that believe in reincarnation, Hinduism and Buddhism. In Hinduism, reincarnation is part of samsara, the eternal cycle of birth, death and rebirth. The goal is to attain enlightenment and break free from this cycle. Buddhism shares this view, but emphasizes that actions in each life determine the fate of the next. This is karma. Spiritism. Spiritism, based on the teachings of Allan Kardec, teaches that reincarnation is a means of learning and spiritual evolution. Spirits are reborn to correct past mistakes, improve their virtues, and fulfill specific missions. Christianity and other traditions. Although most branches of Christianity reject reincarnation, evidence suggests that in some early sects, such as the Gnostics, this belief was considered valid. Some interpretations suggest that passages in the Bible may reference the idea of the soul's rebirth. Karma and spiritual learning. Does remembering the past have a purpose? For many spiritual traditions, remembering past lives does not happen by chance. These memories may emerge as a message from the soul, indicating lessons that need to be learned or patterns that must be broken, spiritual bonds, and the return to earth Buddhist monks teach that some souls return to resolve unfinished business, learn new lessons, or even help others evolve. According to mediums and spiritualists, many children who remember past lives may have specific missions to fulfill in this existence. Buddhist monks and mediums on past life memories. Mediums and spiritual researchers. Mediums report that many children who remember past lives are highly evolved spirits with a strong connection to their past. Some of these memories may be remnants of previous traumas or even an attempt by the spirit to convey an important lesson. Tibetan masters and conscious reincarnation. In Tibet, monks believe that certain spiritual masters can choose where and when to reincarnate. The Dalai Lama, for example, is considered the reincarnation of a lineage of spiritual leaders, identified from childhood through specific tests. Whether from a religious or spiritual perspective, cases of children like Ryan Hammons continue to intrigue and challenge our understanding of life and death. What do you think? Are these memories real or just coincidences? Comment below and share this video with someone who needs to know this story. Cases of adults who also claim to have memories of other lives. Although many reincarnation stories come from children, there are also adults who claim to remember past lives, especially through hypnotic regressions or spontaneous experiences. Some of these accounts are so detailed and precise that they challenge any logical explanation. Reports of adults who underwent regression and remembered past experiences. The case of Jenny Cockle, the woman who reunited with the children of her past life. Jenny Cockle, since childhood, had vivid memories of a previous life as Mary Sutton, a woman who lived in Ireland in the 1930s. As an adult, she decided to investigate these memories and, to her surprise, located Mary's children, now elderly, who confirmed the details of her story. They were shocked to see that Jenny knew things only their mother could know. The case of James Leininger, the World War II pilot. James Leininger began having recurring nightmares about a plane catching fire in the middle of the ocean. He said he was a World War II pilot and provided specific details about his supposed past life. After investigations, it was discovered that everything matched the story of James Houston Jr., a real pilot who died in combat. The case of Barbro Karlin, the reincarnation of Anne Frank. Barbro Karlin, a Swedish writer, from childhood insisted that her name was not Barbro, but Anne. She was afraid of men in uniform and knew intimate details about Anne Frank's life, which were later confirmed by Anne's own family, evidence that impressed experts, hypnosis and past life regression. Many adults report past life memories through hypnotherapy sessions. Dr. Brian Weiss, a renowned psychiatrist, studied hundreds of patients and documented extraordinary regression cases where people revealed names, dates, and historical details that could only be known by someone who actually lived in that time. Documentation and research cases like Jenny Cockle's and James Leininger's were rigorously investigated, and the evidence challenges any conventional explanation. In many of these cases, individuals provided information that was later confirmed through historical records and real witnesses. Why do some people remember and others don't? One of the big questions that intrigues researchers is, why do some people have past life memories while others don't? Some believe that these memories emerge when the soul needs to convey an important message or when unresolved traumas need to be understood. If so many reports point to something beyond our understanding, can we simply ignore them? What do you think? Do you believe you have lived before? Tell us in the comments. What does this mean for us? Could it be that we have all lived other lives? Faced with so many impressive cases and stories that challenge science, an inevitable question arises. What if we have all lived before, but just don't remember? Reflection on the impact of these discoveries. If reincarnation is real, it completely changes the way we understand life and death. Could the challenges we face today be consequences of past experiences? Could our innate abilities, fears, and even relationships be reflections of something we have lived before? Reincarnation and the meaning of life. If life is just a passage within a larger cycle, what is our true purpose here? Are we merely repeating patterns, or do we have the power to learn and evolve with each existence? The possibility that we have all lived before many cultures and spiritual traditions affirm that reincarnation is a universal reality. What if, for some reason, our memories were erased so we could start fresh? Perhaps there are lapses, small flashes, intuitions, or even feelings of déjà vu that are actually echoes of a past life. What if we could discover who we were? If you've ever had strange dreams, unexplained sensations, or an immediate connection with places and people you've never seen before, maybe it's a sign of something much greater. Could it be possible to recover these memories? What would we discover about ourselves if we could access these recollections? What if death is not the end, but just a new stage? If reincarnation exists, then death is no longer a tragic end, but merely a portal to another experience. This completely changes our relationship with the fear of death and makes us reflect on the importance of every choice we make. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe you have lived before, or do you think reincarnation is just a myth? Leave your comment and tell me, where are you watching this video from? And now I want to ask you, do you believe reincarnation is real? Have you ever had a strange experience you can't explain, a strong déjà vu, dreams that felt like memories, an unexplainable connection with a place or person? If these stories intrigued you, share your opinion in the comments. I read everything and want to know, where are you watching this video from? If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share it with someone who is also interested in these mysteries of life and death. In the next video, I will bring more amazing stories that challenge logic. You won't want to miss it.